This morning, we are taking a further look inside of the timeline of that day. Our own Corley Peel is here with us this morning, as well as Sergeant Michael Ritchie with Homicide in Harris County Sheriff's Office. Good morning. Thank you both for being with us.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, Sergeant, we will start with you. 5 years now, and did you ever think that it would get to this point? 5 years with not cracking the case yet?
No, I did not. I was the original lead investigator on this, so I do remember getting the call that morning and heading out to the scene. And like I've told so many interviews before, when I was watching the surveillance video that was provided by the neighbors, I really felt like we could actually have this solved that day. But that definitely has not been the case.
Yeah, like, Corley, we're used to following stories, but 5 years later, it's like no developments.
Right, and you were talking to me earlier about time, and a lot of times right after a murder that, you want to solve it right away, but now you're saying with all these years past that time is actually on your side. Can you expand on that?
Well, so the sergeant that was my supervisor that day out on the scene, Eric Clegg, he was a longtime cold case investigator. And one thing that he told me, that a lot of times when you're working an investigation, you have that famous show, The First 48, that's a lot of times time is working against you when you're first out there, when you first get there. It was the case when we did this in 2019. But as time goes on, it can reverse and it can kind of be on your side. For instance, relationships change, loyalties change. For instance, the person that did this could be in prison or deceased, or they're divorced, or they're not with the person they were before. Mm-hmm. So there's different loyalties. Another thing too that helps us, that we're kind of trying to utilize right now, technology. Definitely technology has changed a lot from 2019 now to 2024.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, you have the FBI and Texas Rangers helping out with that aspect as well.
Throughout the investigation, Texas Rangers were involved. I had a contact with them, and also an FBI agent that us at the Sheriff's Office would use. So we have definitely reached out to other agencies that definitely have more resources than the Sheriff's Office would. So we've definitely been utilizing them really for the entire investigation.
Do you start from the very beginning? When you're going over these cases, you go right through and kind of with a fine-tooth comb. What is the strategy?
Well, what I've done, as this case has gone on, a lot of times I've gone back to my first interviews of that day, and I reread my supplemental reports that I completed. And again, I listen to interviews. I've listened to we had, I think, 3 911 callers. I listened to the 911 tapes. I don't know how many times I've watched that video. And so I try to sometimes think outside the box, and sometimes investigators, you get focused or tunnel vision on one, scenario that you think why this occurred or how it occurred. And so sometimes I try to take a step back and look, hey, is there a different reason why this occurred?
Mm-hmm. There was everything about the killer's behavior. Didn't seem random, but maybe it was random. I mean, what's your thought on that?
Well, I've been open to anything over the years. Since we haven't been able to solve it, I've been open to anything, and I've told a lot of people that I don't think right now nothing would surprise me. Our general, theory about it, or we definitely thought that it wasn't random, and due to again, it did take forever to talking about everything of why, but through interviews, through talking with family, talking with friends, the timeline of what transpired that day, and just the actions and the behavior of the shooter, I don't feel it was random. But is it possible? Yes.
Now, Corley, you have spoken with members of the family. You've spoken with the husband. Mm-hmm. Tell us about what that interview was like, Elizabeth's husband's interview.
Yeah, he was still very emotional. I know a lot of people have pointed fingers at him over the past few years about, that he had something to do with this. A lot of people on social media pointing blame at him, but he said he loved her very much. They were planning to go on their anniversary trip days after that garage sale. He said that they were best friends, that they were extremely close, and that he wants to make sure that the killer is found just as much as anybody else. So he seemed very emotional about it, especially 5 years later that, an arrest still hasn't been made.
Yeah. And Sergeant, you said that he's been cooperative, as has the entire family. So
Yes.
there's nothing in that particular situation that would lead you to believe they're hiding something at this point.
No, the husband has been totally cooperative with us and myself throughout the entire investigation. Again, I still speak to him. I just spoke to him last week. Same thing with the Nellies. Bob and Rosemary have been very supportive of us and the sheriff's office throughout the investigation. And their son and friends and family, other family members and friends of Liz, a lot of people from the 501st that they were involved in. I have gotten nothing but support and cooperation through anyone that I've spoken to. And so again, just another thing that just makes this more frustrating that we can't get this solved for the Barraza and Nellie family.
Any new tips or leads that you're able to share with us that y'all have gotten over the past 5 years?
So with that being said, we still get numerous tips all the time, and we have to follow every tip. Now sometimes tips can be a little out there from different people. We have people from from a different country that are interested in this case. There's a ton of web sleuths that we get tips from, or that send emails or phone calls that they're telling us what they think and this and that. Watch this part of the video, or you should look at this person. We get a range of different type of tips and things that we still follow and look at. But one thing that I've been trying to focus on the last few months here is what I mentioned about technology in the last 5 years. And so we're trying to utilize technology with our crime scene unit, with the Texas Rangers, speaking with the serology lab through DNA, and also looking at different warrants by using different trying to get into using different, websites and things like that maybe the suspect could have used, that we could access and maybe find out who was possibly trying to plan this, if it was planned. So again, we're looking at a lot of different things, because like I said, a lot of things have changed over the last 5 years with technology. So
And you got to look everywhere, because as you said, nothing would surprise you at this point.
Right.
All right,
Sergeant
Sarge.
Corley, thanks for your guys' time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.